Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're working on the vessel, so part of the Roxy Creations project. So I have stitched down all my backgrounds and I've mixed it up a little bit in the way that I stitched. I went and found some threads, and these are ones I don't normally sort of gravitate to. So I thought, well, now's the chance to have a little play. These are wonderful variegated threads that I've wound onto these little cards. And this is a silk one, which did pop up in another project. I can't remember which one now, but I thought I did enjoy using it. It does break down the more it pulls through fabric because it is a silk-based fibre. I'm guessing there's probably something else mixed with it, but actually no, there isn't, because, yeah, that's why I picked them up. They're all silk threads. But it's so pretty. And then this one, I think this is just a random one I found in an op shop. Yeah, Lola. It's I haven't used that yet. It's very glossy, very springy, very synthetic. So there's some little threads. I thought I'd bring in a little bit of this orange, and I really like it. It's picking up the orangey, reddy, pink tones. So I did a little bit of stitching around there and some lines there. So with my running stitch, I put some on the diagonal up through here, going up and going across. So I just did variations of, and this piece here I just stitched down like that. So, the other thing I did was I grabbed my vase, which is my whole vessel is going to sit around. I feel so much better now that I'm not doing the curve shape, and everything is just working so much better. I traced around the vase, and the top ended up being the bigger part, and then just added a little bit, just 1/4 of an inch, just for, good measure. So I then just selected one of the fabrics. I went through with my friction pen and I ruled myself some lines and just did some running stitch. I was watching a movie and I really wanted to watch the movie and not have to think about straight lines. So I decided just to grab my ruler and give myself some faint lines to follow. So that come together pretty easily. So that will be on the bottom. And then I'll pick another fabric to put there, which will then be the inside. And the panel will also have fabric on the inside. It'll be just so that when I look into the vase, I can see something other than my stitching. I think I will still need some more felt over it again, just to help with the rigidity, but I haven't got to that stage yet. And when it comes together on the side, it'll be just a case of stitching this in and then just jiggling these fabrics to see, if they stay, get chopped off, and just slip stitching, overcast stitching, not sure yet, but it'll be some form of attachment, so it should look pretty seamless. So that's the plan. Anyway, so today I want to add some embellishing. We're sort of at that next stage of layering. So I've got my treasured lace from Paris. I've got my scrappy bits from goodness knows where, not Paris. I've also grabbed a couple little things here. That doily was just sitting on my desk. I don't think we'll use him, but we'll see how we go. I've got a couple of these types of elements but dragonflies back. I had another look at him and I think he will work. So first thing is fussy cut out dragonfly. I think what was throwing me off is there's so much calico. So I just want to trim him back a bit. I seem to be tending towards this pink a little bit more. So much for being neutral. But it's all good. Pieces evolve, don't they? Well, they do for me. Sometimes I have the best plans and then I'm heading off in a completely different direction, which is just fine by me because I can't every time sort of picture the whole project in my mind. So I sort of have to let that creative process happen. I don't want to snip any of those little knots because we will have issues really quickly with Mr. Dragonfly. Feels like forever since I did these. Finally, we found a home for one. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, I did a little series where each video was a different dragonfly and we just randomly picked a colour and some beads and made them all a little bit different. And now they are little elements just sitting in my tray over there, just waiting for a home. It's nice to have some bits and pieces that you can draw on, even if you don't use them for, you know, a year or two, doesn't matter. It's sort of all about having them there, ready to roll. Did have plans on doing a butterfly series as well, but just haven't had time. Okay. I'm sort of looking for something a bit whimsical, I think. And my little hare, I'm yet to stitch into him, so I want to make some decisions about him in this video as well, and what we do with him. I did have plans of stitching into this foliage around him as well, but I guess it's going to depend on what's left space-wise. Once these little bits and pieces find a home, really happy with that. I like a bit of text. Don't mind that. And I just want to trim around one of these. I'll go real close because I don't want that polar white to interfere. I even went through my Suffolk puffs or yo-yos to see if there was one there that could go on, but there just wasn't the right colour. And then I thought, oh, better have a look through the applique elements. I've slowly built up a small collection. Gosh, it's hard to find some of these things in this country. I'm in Australia, if some of you are new and you're thinking, where is this girl? Brisbane, capital city, Queensland, if you're trying to find it on the map. I was a Brisbane girl for quite some time. Prior to that, a little country girl living in the South Burnett. And now I've left Brisbane and I'm living north, about 4 hours up the coastline, at a gorgeous little seaside holiday town, Barham Heads. So it's been quite a big move for me. Not emotionally, just physically. I've been emotionally moved here for years. Oh my goodness. It's just finally getting all my little ducks in a row that I can actually get here and still be able to run my business from a distance and slip back to Brisbane as needed. We've got shipping containers starting to come in for our business too, so there's going to be a few random trips back to Brisbane to help the staff with the stock. So looking forward to catching up with everyone. Just going to trim this little guy out. I don't want all of that, I don't think, because it's just not quite the colours. I think I just want this little guy. Don't mind a little bit of yellow. So yeah, busy couple months ahead, let me tell you. Got some plans afoot. Can't say anything yet, it's all very exciting. But busy girl. I'll be making some announcements in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned. Okay, let's go. Sort of fits in beautifully, doesn't it, with all these pinks and teals, my neutral colour palette, not. Oh my goodness, I think I'm going to do that. I think he's going on. I'm going to commit to a dragonfly. It'd be great to have him on my vase surround. Now, let's have a little look at lace. That'll be the final decision of some pretty little bits and pieces. Oh, I've got some scrappy bits, for goodness sakes. The things we keep. Isn't it just beautiful? Nope. Wrong colour. This is a little blouse. I think it's been the top of some negligee that's been removed. I actually had visions of something going along the bottom here. I think that's too big, but something along that edge, like that, just so make it feel like he's sitting in a little field. That's actually near perfect. Should we do it? Like that. Let's see what else there is. There's this little piece. I think that's too dark in its tone. Did I hit record? I got in here and started fiddling around, and before I knew it, I was yabbering away. And did I actually hit record? I did. This is a random piece. Nope. Too big and overpowering. Little piece. It's a bit too white. Don't be fussy at all. Little old piece that's stained. That's another part of a collar. Too big for the piece. What's this little guy? I don't even know where you come from. You didn't come from Paris, so you've come from a pack of bits. Too white. Don't you get nervous when you've got that much left of something? It's like, oh my goodness, you're gone forever. Look at this little scrappy bit. It's from a collar around a little sleeve by the looks of it. I don't even know where I got that from. Things are getting a bit mixed up in here. No, they're all very white. That, go in there. Colour's just a bit too, I don't know, I'm being finicky. This one's one of my favourites. It's soft and pretty. I think I'd like a little piece of that on there. But where? It'd just be a little bit there. I like that. Do I have much room for anything else? I don't know. There's these random little bits too. Oh, I don't know. Don't mind that. But it's sort of, no. I think I've probably looked enough in there. I might, see they're all different again. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness. If I could go back in time, I would be a lace merchant travelling around to haberdashery stores selling lace to people. I sort of don't mind that there. That's an interesting little morsel. Don't think I've used any of that anywhere on a project. Might just pop that there, maybe under there. Yeah. Okay. Now, before we say that's enough, because, you know, it's never enough, I just want to upend my scraps. Oh, that'd be... Look at that. All that effort I went to stitch it. So do I put it there? And then when I look down into the bars, oh yes, look, 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 look. So I just need a simple fabric there. Well, there you go. You are going to live there at the bottom of the vase. So when I look in, there's a little morsely treat waiting for me. Oh my goodness, I just love this. Oh, what a mess. Can you guys see? Let's just have a little rummage. Can't hurt, can it? Let me just change the angle a bit so you can see all the yumminess. Oh, see, there's that. Oh, look at that bit. Oh, that's from Spotlight. That's a recent find at Spotlight, guys. Oh, it's too white. Too white, too white, too white. Maybe I build up the garden a bit. That's what we're going to do. Maybe. These are more modern. You see them passed off at times with vintage sellers, and they're not. They're modern. I see them on rolls at Spotlight. I tell you, the price of things, oh my goodness, guys. Oh, we're going to have to start thinking laterally about how we get our supplies, I think. It's just, that even goes for buying meat and bread and eggs. I'm going to have to get a chicken, grow, and lay some eggs. Oh my goodness. Some of the places we shop at, we're seeing eggs go to $6 Australian per dozen. And then, I don't know where Gaz was the other day, come home and he said, I saw eggs for $7. I'm like, no way. We need a chook. Just having a mouthful of my drink. Yes. Shocking. I'm going to put that there. I sort of think I could get away with something a bit chunkier there. Oh, I tell you. This is also a modern piece that's a Spotlight. And it's a little ripper because you can cut into it. And I know how you feel out there if you just can't find supplies. You just don't have access to, you know, bits and pieces. You might live remotely and can't get to places. Well, we have to think a little laterally and use what we got. I've been looking at cutter quilts. They're starting to pop up around the place in Australia for sale. And oh my goodness, the price is ridiculous. It's great to repurpose and use some of these old treasures, but blooming hell, I need it to buy eggs. Oh, gee. I might put that across his rump. That's what I'm thinking. You can really go to town when you're doing collaging. It's one of my favourite activities. I might just pin that. Where's my little applique pins? Oh, that's fallen out of my journal. That was my Jennifer Clouston little botany journal. I'm just doing little random stitcheries. And that was to go in one of the pages, but maybe I could work a bit of fabric paper combinations. Yeah, there we go. That's another example of trying to think laterally to get elements. I might grab, see now I'm going off on a tangent. I've got a book over there. It's from my journal making days. Talking like an old duck that's been doing this for years. And it's full of labels and elements from Tracy Fox Love Junk Journals. She's got some awesome kits. I think there's some of Rachel's bits and bobs in there too. I might look at what's in there and we add some to fabric and add some extra bits. Please, but little dragonflies going on. So I'll just invisible stitch all this down. I don't think I'll do any big stitchy things to them because they're pretty as they are. But I'm liking the idea of adding some words. And if you don't have fabric with words in it, on it, maybe we can find something botanical. Have I got everything pinned down? No. This little guy that we can put. It's a reasonable curve, so it shouldn't feel like it's going to be bent, but I think I've been saying this was Elizabeth Holden. It's not. Is it Kathy Holden? Oh my goodness, I'm getting worse with names. Oh, I should not just say anything. I should say nothing if I don't know. Hey, just keep my trap shut. But I can't. That's why you guys are so helpful when I have a mental blank, when I'm trying to, create and talk. If I get stumped on something, you guys are there in the comments just to say, nah, it's this, which is great. Thank you. You're all part of the team, Team Corrine. I'm just going to hop up and see if I can find my book of labels. I'll pause it because I can just see where they are, but there's a couple books and I'm going to need to ferret through them all, and some of them will probably fall out. So I might just pause it and I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So I'm hoping there's something in these. I thought that was a good start. I can see the word label there. Let's have a little look. Okay, so these could be from all over the place. Gosh, the memories. A stamp. We could have a stamp on there. That'd be a bit different. It's a bit random, isn't it? I like the idea of that. Postage stamp. And I've got no scissors that can cut paper. Let's try these guys. And I'm thinking we mount them on some fabric. Oh, some inspiring words. Inspire. A botanical one would be good for the flowers that will end up in this vase. Grass, vegetation, fern, sapling. These sound very foresty, don't they? Horticulture, no. I was thinking about that label. Remember, I think it's here still. Remember the label that was rattling around? This here. I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to put some fabric under it, some wadding, stitch into it, and it's going to hang off the piece, I think. At least I'm going to have a play with it. Don't want any birds. More stamps, some butterflies. Nope. Okay. I know I've got better. So we could have scribble, but most of those are like textiles. What have we got here? Blessed. Here we go. Botanize, leaf. No. Blooms, flower, here we go, noun. That's got potential. Colours work. And we're talking about flowers. Okay. Got to have a look in all of them. There might be something better around the corner. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Well, it is. It's because the cows haven't got on the other side of the fence and eaten it yet. So it's always greener. We used to always say that when we were kids, because the paddock fence would, you know, keep them in line, and then they'd always be pushing through to get to that grass, and the fence wire would get a little bowed, and yeah. Oh, look at some of those. I've forgotten all this stuff. All these little morsels. Oh, I haven't made a journal for ages in the paper world, and I'm feeling the calling. I don't need to make journals. I was selling journals for ages there, and I couldn't keep up, and I was just like, the stress of it. People's requirements, and that wasn't even advertised. That was just through my circle of friends. Once you sort of get going with it, you start to, people chat and show, and suddenly you've got all sorts of, look at that. Where the hell did I get that from? Anyway, stay focused. Flowers. Lots of flowers. That makes sense. No, I think we're right. I think I'm loving this, but I do want to make it less white. Let's get this little guy snipped out. He's got potential, and even that little guy I don't mind. Random little numbers, catalogue numbers. This will all be great until one day I accidentally spill water over the whole thing, because that's the plan. If I do have a bunch of flowers that someone graciously gives me, hint, hint, husband that's sitting in the next room, I'll have a vase hidden within this fabric vessel. But we've never been big flower buyers. I don't know. I sort of say to him that I prefer plants for my garden where the flowers continue. One year for my birthday, I had a pretty large vegetable patch in Brisbane, and I got to a point that my previous Australian Shepherd unfortunately passed away. Pepper was 1 year old. Bentley, very similar to Bandit in colours. He took a liking to eating all my vegetables, my strawberries, anything. As soon as they were ripe, he was out there before I got out there to harvest. So he became a bit of a pain. And yeah, that's good. I might just grab some fabric. Have to be a scrap of calico here somewhere. Yeah, he became a bit of a pain. This is my pleated piece that was abandoned in episode 2. Yeah, and he was eating everything on me before I could even get to it. That bloomin' sod of a dog. Loved him to bits, but boy, he loved my cauliflowers. So the garden stayed dormant for quite some time because I was going through raising puppy stage, because Pepper come along and she said, oh, you eat cauliflowers and then we can have a strawberry. That sounds good. So it was, yeah, it was carnage. And then unfortunately we lost Bentley about a year into Pepper's life, and we're like, oh, we really wanted a pair. So we waited a little bit and thought, no, don't worry about it. Let's just have the one dog. And then my mate, who has Australian Shepherds as his farm dog, he's got a heap of them. A puppy came along, and that's how we got Bandit. And he uses the Australian Shepherd as his cattle dog for herding and protection and working dogs. He's got about 8 of them now. They're spectacular, absolutely spectacular. He's got a couple farms. Gosh, I get sidetracked. He's got a couple farms all over the place. One he owns, and then the rest he leases so that he can move his cattle. They're beef cattle, Brangus, black ones. He moves them from different areas through the southeast Queensland depending on the season and depending on what's happening with them. they need medical treatments like, you know, spraying for flies and things like that. He moves them to a yard that can help him do that and make sure they're all health-wise, health checks, things like that. Now I'm unpicking this while I'm rabbiting away here. So, yeah, anyway, what was the original story here? It's something to do with flowers, wasn't it? Yeah, so because bunches of flowers are a bit light on, and it was around my birthday, my veggie patch was dormant due to hound activity. I said to my husband, don't get me anything this year for my birthday. I'm going to go and get seeds, and I'm going to raise my own flowers, and I'm going to plant them into my veggie patch and create a bouquet in my veggie patch. And it was so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a bit disappointing when they all cark it at the end of the season, but I had the little trays and the potting mix, and we got them up and then raised them and potted them up and potted them out. And then the blooms, oh my goodness. It was really good. And I literally I did a before and after photo. I don't think I have that photo anymore. You can see it, you know, 6 months later, spring hit and there was just flowers everywhere. All the effort I went to stitch this. So, yeah, that's what I prefer. So whether I get an actual set of flowers, look, stop mucking around with that. We don't need to unpick that in this video. We just need a piece like that. Okay, so what the plan is, like I've done here, is glue those two labels to a little bit of fabric and then invisible stitch those little elements on. We need something to glue on. Where's my little sticky? I'm being very careful. I've got a coffee sitting in amongst all my gear here. I do not usually do that because I've had a bad experience with the coffee being flipped over on my table. So I usually just two separate activities, coffee over near a table and chairs and sit and focus, and not on a workspace, but it's here. So the girl needs to be a little okay. So easy way of making a little text element. This one I will, before it goes on the fabric, I will get out my ink and give it a bit of a smoosh so it's a little bit aged looking. It just looks a little bit too fresh for my liking. Oops. Oh, goodness me, don't knock anything. Okay. Give that a good burnish, give that glue, make sure it really penetrates. I plan to have a big day of stitching today. I'm going to film as many videos as I can. I just feel like stitching and moving projects along and, you know, really focusing on it for a day. I think Gaz is going out later, so I've got the house to myself so I can chat away to you guys. So this is the first one in my day. The others will appear later in the month. I've got my mate coming from Ballarat, so the girl needs to get a few videos done. Otherwise, it won't happen while we're together. And if we do, it'll be random videos. Sort of feel like I could do maybe flower there. Just tuck it under there. Pop that one there. And a little stamp. Where did we have him? Sort of like the idea that he was up there. There we go. I think we have a plan, guys. Now, let's have a little play with this fellow. Let's get the bit of space. Have I got enough? Oh, I do. Okay. But I think we need a little bit of felt as well. Just to, even if I don't attach it, doesn't matter. Let's just stitch it up, decorate it up. I might just jump up and grab some felt that we can use, some wadding. Bit of a scrap. Okay. I've got no idea what this fabric print is. These were gifted to me, a little pile of them. Those seed packet images that I was showing you in one of the earlier videos, and it was video 1 or 2, was part of the gift, and they all have that similar look. So my guess is they're all from the same fabric. And then we might pop that on the back just as a bit extra to make it nice and textural. I'll just do a bit of, that pin is dead. I'll do a little bit of stitching into it. And then it can be an element added to the vessel, because that would just look very fancy. What's going on here? I've got it very crooked. I might just go straight to invisible stitch. We've got time. I think I've got a plan for my piece here. As for Bunny, my thoughts is, see where there's a pale green stroke of the artist before me? My thought was to find a thread and just stitch into all of those. So that's what I'll do with him. It's not exciting, but I think it'll work. That definitely needs to be toned down, doesn't it? It's all you can see. Come on. I'm using Reg. He's got a tiny little eye. We don't want Reg. Go something a bit better. Reg's cousin. Slightly bigger eye. Because I was using pearl cottons for all of that running stitch, I was using a bit of a thicker needle, and the tip of my finger was getting so sore. So it'd be good to have a finer needle to do all this invisible stitch with that will hold all these elements down, because my finger was sore. And here I am planning on doing a day of stitching. I can hear a lot of noise. Hey Gaz, there's bumping and knocking outside. Might be someone returning their wheelie bin back to their house and I can hear it. I'd love to put some lace on this, but there's not a lot of space. Haven't done any thread painting on this, and I've sort of covered up my flower that had possibilities there. Maybe I need to rethink where this little guy goes. Which I could, but I do like it there. I like how it's tucked in under this little guy. It sort of helps build his piece. So now this is all joined. Could definitely do a little bit of stitching into these little guys. That might be what I do. Stitch into the little label a little. Especially if I use some of that orange thread just to connect it. That might be what I do. Push back that pink a little and have that orange popping through. Well, that's all attached. So it'll be just a case then of stitching in, whatever that may be, trimming it back, and then finding a fabric that matches our project to put on the back. I'll do a buttonhole stitch around that so that it can be a little hole, and then I might put some twine through and then use a garment pin or a bulb pin to attach it to the piece so it sort of is dangling, I think is the plan. Okay, so that's ready for a sit and stitch. How are we going for time? I think we'd done 20 minutes before I jumped up. We've got a little bit of time. I might carry on with this piece. I sort of want this all to sit and dry. Won't take me long to stitch all those bits down so that I can keep stitching and keep playing here. I'm going to... I need a needle that's not a blooming post hole digger. They're all sitting with projects. You know when you start grouping things and you've got... Where's Duck? Duck always has needles. Come on, Ducky. What have you got, son? Here we go. Now we're talking. A nice long milliner's needle that should take... Yep. So what I'm thinking is we'll do a little bit of orange running stitch where we go on the edge. Might couch it down. I was going to do a running stitch, but I think I want a solid line. So I'm just going to come back through and couch it down. It'll just tie it all together, I think. Like that. Really simple and quick. You can run 2 needles when you're couching. I sometimes do that. I'll have the same thread or, you know, a contrasting thread that's the couching stitch. And then the stitch that you want, the colour you want laid down. And you just sort of jump to the next section, pick up the other needle, follow behind with your little stitches to hold it. So I don't waste thread. I think I'll finish this off and then pop up where I need to. Yeah, that's good. So if I come up down the bottom corner here and jump through, to there with my big stitch. So if I had a second needle, I could pop this one down, pick it up and work my way along, but I'm just going to now spin the work around and stitch back down to the point of which I started. That'll get my needle here, and then I can get out to here and I'll stitch back. Then I'll need to end it off and reposition myself over here, and I can do those 2 legs. Really good way of getting nice long lineal lines on your work if that's what you think you need. Great for words because you can get curves really easily. You can come along and whip stitch over your thread, just going over and over and over it to thicken it up, and the cotton that you use to couch down might be just standard cordage, and then you come back and whip stitch over it with the thread colour you want and completely cover it. Like, there's so many options with couching. It's a really great stitch to have in your arsenal. So that's just, I think, brought those pieces together. That sort of feels like it's part of the project. The green's really good, when that bunny green and that edge there, it sort of felt like it was very close to being spot on. You can also go through and couch ahead, but I don't like going too far ahead, especially when it's a long stitch like this, because it can get slack and sloppy and then you've got, it just doesn't look right. So I'd rather do small little jumps and stop and start because I'm running out of thread. I've just got to make a couple more stitches and we're there. And hopefully I can end that off. That needle is no good when I've got a furry end, and I really don't want to waste thread by snipping because we're right at the very end. And what I'll do when I've finished whatever I stitch on here, which I don't think will be much more, I think it's all about just getting a bit of orange in, trim it back. We'll do this last bit. We've got plenty of time. Yeah. I'll trim it back. Then I will maybe invisible stitch. I could use glue to sandwich it, but I think I'll just use some invisible stitch. I sort of try and keep glue out of my work as much as I can. Pick a fabric from the pack and line the back of this with something. So we're going to No, I should start here and then go to here. Like that. And I can pop up down here. It was also too, it's Vanessa that gave me these pieces. I think I said Vicky. I don't know where I got that from. So sorry, Vanessa. Vanessa was at the retreat at Ballarat that Susanna had earlier in the year, and she gave me a little bag of morsels. Oh, love morsels. You never know when you're going to use them too. Like, that's the beauty of them, just little random bits and pieces. It's always tricky when you see a piece of fabric and you're like, oh gosh, that'd be handy to have in the stash, but you only need a bit. So you've got to really select well, because you sort of want to, you know, make sure that you don't just have it for the sake of having it, and you want to be able to use it in future projects. So got to be a bit careful. And it's money sitting in the cupboard at the end of the day, isn't it? Which we need to buy eggs. My cousin around the corner, she's a generation older than me. She married into our family. No, she didn't. Her mum did. Her mum married one of my great uncles. So when I was a kid, I knew her mum really well. She was part of the elder generation around me growing up. Long story short is her mum's husband passed away when I think she was quite young. She was a young lady. And then her mum remarried into our family. Anyway, so I didn't really know the daughter. She was now away in another area. I think they were out at Roma or in Brisbane and raising her own family. And now we've all ended up around the same area. Her mum, my step great aunt, is now in a home back where my dad lives. So I see her occasionally when she comes out to visit her family. And her daughter is just around the corner, and her daughter and her kids are around the corner as well from me. So we've sort of all reconnected. A new generation of kids have come together again, where we were sort of not knowing each other. And yeah, where was I heading with this? Oh my goodness me. I was just thinking, what am I doing with this piece? And I'm yibby-yabbering away here. She has decided to get some chickens. I think it's what's got chickens on my brain now. She's got a corner that was a fern house, and she's over ferns because she lost a lot in the hot weather. They got pretty rugged there at one point. So her son, who's, I think he's up in Gladstone, he's coming down, and they're going to remodel the fern house into a chicken coop. So maybe I'll have some eggs come my way. I'm just going to jump and grab the pack of fabric that we had. It's just sitting over here. And pick something to go on the back of that tag. Let's just move. Got some scraps that were left over. Maybe. Oh, it's just not quite the right size. I laid all of the little scraps. Oh, that's good thread. Yeah, I laid all the scraps just in. That'd be pretty. It's very bold. Yeah, it's close to the right size, so I think I'm just going to use it. Or should I go for something plainer, because that's a piece that could be stitched into one rainy day. Yes. That's probably least liked in the family of fabrics. And it is subtle. Let's turn it over the right way as if it would be stitched on, because I'm likely to trim that to size and the thing will shrink and then I'll need to flip it. There we go. This is what we want. I don't even know if I'm in camera. I'm not even in camera, for goodness sakes. I felt as if I weren't, because my work, my wrist, my arm was right up against my body, which is usually a dead giveaway. I wonder if all that stitching I did, that couching, was even in camera. Oh my goodness. Oh well, you probably didn't even notice I couched those threads down because you were busy stitching yourself and you're just listening to me ramble. I know that's the only reason you're here, you lot. Listen to Corrine yibby yabba while you're busy stitching. But I do hear occasionally you yell at the screen to tell me move that piece over to the left and all that. So that's very helpful of you. All right, fabric out of the way. Let's put these lacy morsels back in their vessel. Vessels are handy. They really are. This is a purchased one. I did actually think about embellishing one that I already owned, and this caught my eye and I'm like, no, I like the fabric, don't go and cover it all up. Thought that's a bit of a cheat. Find a vessel you're not a lover of and embellish it. But I liked it. So there we go. So there's my little piece. Now, oh, I know what we could do. This thread was caught up in that fabric, so let's do a running stitch around, and I can bury the stitch into the fabric because we've got a little bit there. Let's get tricky. So we can hide that there. I could even do an overcast stitch. What would that look like? I think it would interfere with the front too much. Yeah, no. Let's just stick with the original idea that come into my head. I'll still go through and slither in a few little invisible stitches just to help it all stay together. It should anyway, because I'm I'm hiding the needle in all of those layers this side, and those layers connect the other side, so it should all hold. But if it's a bit puffy through there, invisible stitch will take care of that. And if I do the invisible stitch quite uniformed, as in rows, I can get a little quilted look on the back, which is, oh, this is a crowbar. It's a crewel needle, so the end is bigger than the shaft. Talk about make it hard for myself. I need to dig out some needles, it would seem, because I've got ones that are suitable for ribbon embroidery. So this is like when you get a bunch of flowers and there's a gift card attached. This vessel is having a little gift card attached that refers to the garden. Can dangle off the side. Then I'll see how we go video-wise, and I Might make some flowers for it. We'll see. You know who's coming to visit. And we really, really want to stitch into some clothing. She's bringing, Susanna I'm talking about from Vintage Blend Studios. Susanna's bringing a couple articles of clothing and some gorgeous fabrics that she got from the UK. I think they came from, is it Lilyworth Blue? She sells vintage fabrics. Can't think of her first name. She went to visit her and they've become quite good chums. So she's got some beautiful little morsels that she was wondering what she could do with, and we started chatting about the embellishing of the denim jacket and how much I thoroughly enjoyed the wearable prompt from the Roxy girls. And making my jacket, and I bought a pink jacket to do something with. So Susanna said, right, that's going to be our project when we get together. So she's got, I think, a couple linen shirts or a linen dress. I can't remember. She's got a few things that she's put aside. So I'm just not sure what she'll pack because it has to suit those little morsels that she got from the UK. So we will be mucking around with that. So I'm just not sure if another video of this will come back. You'll certainly see it made. But whether I get time to make something to go into the vase. And remember, if you want to make the daisies, those are featured in Calico and Stitch, the book, which I think is on the desk over there. I might grab that and pop it on the screen. The fabric that I've been using is Sanctuary. That's the book that has those flowers in it. It's a beautiful book. This helped me focus a heap of thoughts for my bunny rabbit, the primitive rabbit, and having a needle turn applique play with that project. It's one of my top 5 that I always thumbing through. It just is just me. I just love the beauty that is in that book. So if you don't have it, it'd be worth having a little look at and see if you can get your hands on a copy. Sue is a very talented lady. So that's stitched. Now I might just retrim because fabric wriggles a bit and I can see the messy side. How are we going for time? That'd be the hour, guys. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pokey hole tools what I need before I let it go. I'm going to make a hole in there that'll go right through, and then I'm going to stitch around the hole, and that then reinforces that little spot so that I can then thread some twine through. So try and bury my knot in that layers, we may as well, and then come up through and start the stitch. And I tend to, there's different ways you could do it. You could do a blanket stitch, but I tend to do a quick whip around. So for all the YouTube ladies out there that do the real, how do you describe it? Probably slow stitch in its rawest form, very organic. They do a lot of circles with holes and then they stitch around the holes. Anne Brooks comes to mind. So there's different techniques that they use to create their hole. My hole's not working. I don't have a hole. That fabric has closed up. So I'm just going to backpedal there. There's too much thickness of product in there. So I just need to hold my horses a second and get in there and actually remove some of the wadding. That's what's doing it. So I need to create an actual hole. It closed up. My pokey tool did so-so. Now I've got a knot in there. Goodness me. Sharper scissors. These little guys are great. I did get that knot out. There we go. So that's out of the way. I'm going to snip a little bit bigger. Let's be bold. Don't be shy. That's it. We need to see the sunlight. We can't just pop a pokey tool through and it just straight away close back up. So I'm stitching in there. Actually, I'm mending the hole, which defeats the purpose of the hole. There we go. Now I can see sunlight. I think you get the general gist of what I'm trying to achieve here. And then I'll whip around the perimeter with just half a dozen stitches, and then I just keep going round and round and round until I get the desired look, whether that's a lot of stitches or just a few. It's up to you. I'll probably do quite a few because I've got a lot of fabric there that's going to fray. See, now we have an actual hole. Oh dear. Just trim this little guy back. A lot of that will pull back in anyway because you're, using your stitches. So it's sort of like a buttonhole, basically, that type of stitch. There we go. One hole. See, better effort that time. I might actually get a bigger piece of cotton because it's surprising how much you actually use to do that type stitch. So anyway, I might say goodbye and toddle off. I've got plenty I can stitch with now. I need to get some colour into that, get all this stitched down, finish off my little buttonhole stitch. So I'm going to need that thread as well. I might do a little bit of, I will. I'll be doing a little bit on this guy, stitching into him. I might use that thread. We'll see. All right, guys. Not sure when I will see you again with this project. Yeah. Look after yourselves. Just tidying up as we chat. That's going to go onto there. But I need a piece of fabric. Oh, hang on. We're not going anywhere, guys. Let's put something under here while we're thinking of it. Maybe I just do that. Sort of needs to be plain. There's a plainer blue. Yeah, that's the one. So let's just quickly do that. See, you thought you were done. You thought the class had finished. School is out. Well, the teacher hasn't rung the bell yet, so just sit still. While we do this little task. And then I can put that fabric away. And I can invisible stitch all of that together too. That's another little job. Like that. I'll leave it in that shape because by the time I stitch it all, everything will wriggle and move. I need to make sure that that's even. Oh, there you go. I can see it, the light. I was thinking, no, maybe I need to trim that. No, I don't. The light is shining through that fabric so I can see that my little doily, isn't that a perfect fit? My little doily will fit. So once I stitch that little guy down, okay, so that can be put away until we need some fabric for the lining. And we've got our project ready to go and supplies. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye this time, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.